Hey, it's Stumps again. I got one more deck profile for you tonight before I shove off. This is the last deck is kind of a tribute to a friend of mine, a fellow player, and a guy who kind of got me started on the game. His name is Scarecrow Kaiser 17. His first name is Kyle. I don't remember his last name. I think it might be like Warfield. And the only reason I know this is because he's on the NA Facebook group. And so are a bunch of other YouTubers I know. So basically, about a year ago, he got, I want to say, first place at Vanguard tournament in Numicon, playing not this deck, but a deck very similar to this. He called, I don't know what he called it, but it was Garmore Duke, and it was a build that at that point in the game hadn't seen a lot of play, and now it's gotten a bunch more play. It's basically the same idea as Garmore Jailer, where you have well, that's not true. In Jailer, in my Jailer build, you want to use your put pressure on and have Garmore get your toolboxy stuff out. In this deck, what the idea is you use Vivians and like Nimue and like other stuff to get cards, and then if you get bad stuff, then you ride like the Duke to kill off the bad stuff, and then keep rewriting Duke-Garmore to get the good stuff again. So there's a lot of weak boosters in here, and there's a potential of getting lots of bad cards. But with Duke in here, and even Chrome Jail, if you wanted to go that route, you can use them to fix your bad fields and help you call better stuff from your hand. So I'm starting with Spring Breeze Messenger. This is an obvious choice, really, in any Gold Paladin deck. It's clearly the best starter. It synergizes so well with Clan. This deck in particular, the focus is a lot on the grade 1 and 2s, and especially about the whole toolbox aspect. So being able to dig for anything with this is just really important for the deck. So yeah, you just want to play him. Triggers, we got 4 heal, 4 draw, and then 8 crit. Me personally, this deck doesn't really need the draw triggers. You play like 5 or 6 draw cards, so the draw triggers aren't even really necessary. Especially considering it's Duke, and with the crits it makes Duke a whole bunch more threatening when he stands himself. However, when I put this deck together, I had to use Lapierre shooters because I don't have all the grade 1s that I need. So I put in the draw triggers because Lapierre forces you to discard one when you call her. So if you're playing this deck, ideally, I think you should play 12 crit, personally. I think Duke is amazing with 12 crit, especially if he's only 10k base. It gives him a lot more threat. So go play 12 crit if you can. Also, don't play Lapierre shooter because she's good, she's not amazing in this deck, and I'll explain why in a minute. Going on to grade 1s, we got 4 Gareth. He's your AK vanilla. You need him to hit big numbers. That's all he is. 2 Dindrain, 1 Silverfang Witch. I'll come back to these. 2 Kaiden, 1 Tron. You can play Tron. You can play a Slagle. You can play a Charge Goal. Doesn't really matter as long as you have 1 strong 10k Vanguard booster or strong Vanguard booster. And 4 perfect cards. Okay, so what Kyle did when he made his deck was he played 4 Gareth, 3 Dindrain, and 2 Silverfang Witch. And his logic was, whenever he rides Garmore, he's gonna get Dindrain, like all the time. Every time he rides Garmore, he's gonna grab Dindrain. Soul Blast 1 to draw 1. If he gets this guy in his hand, he plays it immediately. Soul Blast 2 to draw 1. Whenever he checks this off of a Spring Breeze or Vivian, he calls it Soul Blast 2, draws 1. Right? So that's 5 draw cards in the Career 1 lineup, and 2 of them are going to go off all the time. Some of them are going to go off only when you draw Garmore, but still there's draw power. So his logic was play 5 of those. That means he doesn't have to play Lapierre shooter because he already has enough hand advantage to cover the field advantage that Lapierre would have. So if he had the opportunity, he would have played 12 crit in his Duke build, which is why I'm saying don't play Lapierre if you can help it. Like find like 5 or 6 of these draw cards and play those instead, because that way you can play 12 crit and make Duke a whole bunch more threatening. For me, because I only have 3 of these, now I could play the second Silverfang Witch, but honestly, that would mean I'd only be playing 1 Kaiden. Kaiden, and you kind of need to play at least 2 of. At 2, it's a toolbox play with Garmore. And it still helps because it's like having extra Nimoys and Vivians. Lets me kill off things to get better cards from my deck and help me kind of dig more. So it's kind of important. Not the best card. I still rather have that third and fourth Din Drain, but it's still very helpful. And it kind of fits with the deck's theme of filling up your field and then killing off the bad stuff to get better pluses. So that's basically the whole point of this deck. Now you may be thinking, well, how am I going to have enough soul with like 5 draw cards that only need a Soul Blast? And potentially a charge pool if you don't play Tron. Well, I'll get to that. This deck is about managing resources. Whenever you ride, it's also Duke-Garmore, so like I said, resource management. Whenever you ride a Vivian or play a Vivian, you need to counterblast 1. Whenever you use Spring Breeze, it's counterblast 1. Whenever you ride or use Duke-Garmore, you need to counterblast 2. Whenever you play the Soul Blasting, you need to Soul Blast 1. So you need to make sure everything you could possibly have is in Soul at all times. So you ideally want to keep riding your grade 3s and make sure you have your Din Drain and Soul. Or not your Din Drain, your Spring Breeze and Soul at the start of the game. So you want to make sure your Spring Breeze can go off really quickly. So like I said, resource management. So to help with the resource management, of course you're going to play 4 Major Calamity Trip. And you may be thinking, whoa, 4, isn't that kind of overkill? One thing you can do with this is it gives you a free Spring Breeze. If you ride this turn 1, you can boost it with Spring Breeze, and then use the skill for free. Pay 1, Spirit Call 1 of dig for 3, Spirit Call 1, and use her skill to unflip. So you just got your starter in the Soul, so you can now pull a Din Drain out and Soul Blast this for free, and then you also unflip 1 damage, which means you just got a plus. You did -1 for this to get a +1 off Din Drain, so that's a 1 for 1, and you use Din Drain skill to give you a +1, which is the whole point of this deck. And you all did it for free because this guy let you unflip your damage. So that's just one of the many things you can do. Another thing you can do is play 3 Vivian. You can also play 4 of this if you feel like you can get away with running 3 Trip, but you really want to have 4, I think, because you're going to be rewriting Garmore, and Garmore costs counterblast too. Your Vivian, you can just get boosted by anything and get a free card, and then you can play Trip later and unflip damage, basically. It's not a guaranteed thing, but it tends to be helpful. Yeah, pretty nice just to have with that beast stick power. And you kind of have to play Trip in this build for resource management to keep your damage unflipped. Now for the last of the grade 2s, I'm playing 4 Lop-Ear Shooter. The odds of me getting this card now are really high. And like I said before, I'm running the 4 draw triggers just because I'm playing this card. If I was playing the extra grade 1s that let me draw cards, I'd probably play something else. Kyle played Bowmains in his deck. I think you could probably get away with running the Blaster Spirits. The only problem with that is they all cost Counterblast 1. And in this deck, you're going to be using your Counterblast for this guy and Vivian and Garmore a lot more frequently. So you could play the Blaster Spirits, but I think Bowmains might be a little more helpful in this deck. The only other option that might help better would be I don't know. I just can't really think of anything that's better. Like Bowmains is good. Like if you have a random 11k attacker, that might even be better. But I really think that Bowmain is just your best option here besides Lop-Ear Shooter. I'm playing Lop-Ear because I like to get free cards. It's not exactly a free card because whenever she's played, you drop 1 and you dig for 3, so you might hit a Din Drain. It's a lot harder since you only have 3 draw cards in this deck, but you do want to want these in here to. For me, I want these in here to help me fix my fields. But if you have all of the Din Drains and stuff, then you can get away with running like 2 of these and Blaster Spirits, or running none at all, even 9k vanilla. Otherwise. Alright, so that's my grade 2s. Like I said, this deck is resource management, so for your grade 3s, you got 4 Garmore and 4 Duke. And basically what you do with this deck is, like you would normally in Duke Jailer, or not Duke Jailer, in Garmore Jailer, you turn 1 ride, or turn 3 ride this, ideally. Use its skill to search for a card, ideally a Din Drain. Call Din Drain, Soul Blast 1, draw 1, that's a +1 for you. And then turn 2, you either ride a second Garmore and do it again, or you ride Duke. Swing. If you have 4 damage, you pay 4, or pay 2, clear field. At that point, you might have a trip. If you don't have a trip, then it sucks to be you, but you should have a trip, and you should be able to hit with the trip and unflip the damage. And then now, if you should be at 5 damage with 2 face down, that gives you enough to play Garmore again, and then call another trip or another Din Drain. And as long as you, because basically what you're doing is you're going to be riding a minimum of 3 grade 3s per game. So with your grade 1, 2, and 0 and soul plus these two, that's enough soul to get like 3 Din Drain plays and a Silver Fang Witch off, or 2 Silver Fang plays and a Din Drain play, or 2 Din Drain plays and 1 Silver Fang play, you know, whatever. It all works out, and like even one charge goal play if you wanted to. So, you can keep rewriting your grade 3s, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. That's how you play the game. And if for some reason, after you've done this, this, and this, even if you didn't use the second Garmore's ability, if for some reason you still have 2 damage face up, you can afford to ride Duke again and push with his ability. If you really feel like you can do it. If you need that next card in Soul for a Din Drain play, or for a charge goal play if you're playing that card, you know, whatever, you can do that. So that's basically what you do with this deck. You just rewrite grade 3s, and that gives you soul, and then you draw cards, and that, you know, people say hand advantage doesn't win games, but the hand advantage wins games. You know, whoever has more cards usually has more to work with, which means that they'll have an easier time defending and planning ahead. So my experience, the person who has, you know, the most hand advantage wins. This deck gets you hand advantage like crazy. And like I said, if you can afford to play the deck as the way I've described it, not necessarily my current build, but the way I've described it, where you play like the domains and play like 5 or 6 of the grade 1s that let you draw, and then play 12 crits, you will probably win every game, because it puts a lot of pressure on Duke, and especially on his Limit Break, when you can dig for 3 triggers and possibly getting 2 of them being crits. That's messed up, man. It's messed up. Alright, so I hope you learned something from this video. If you want other options, if you don't like Duke, or you need a cheaper option, go check out my Garmore Duke deck profile. It's on my channel. If you did like this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Comment with questions and suggestions, and if you want to see more, go check out my channel, subscribe for more content. Yeah, thanks for watching.